Good evening.
Hello, Mr. Sendil. Mr. Sendil, is it audible?
Yes, it's audible.
Mr. Narendra
Good evening,
Kumar.
sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Mr. Vivek Kulkarni,
Mr.
most
Giri.
welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Most welcome, sir. Mr. Narendra Kumar, am I audible, please?
Yes,
You
yes,
are
you are
audible. You are
audible.
loud and
We will
clear.
let you know how I am.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Participants, we are in for a very interesting session on US visa application guidance. As we have the registered participants joining in, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Mr. Sendil Kumar, the main speaker, managing attorney of Murthy Immigration Services, a very important name in Indo-US business. And I have great pleasure in welcoming Mr. Narendra Kumar, co-convener of CII Andhra Pradesh. Most welcome to you, Mr. Narendra Garu.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Giri.
Mr. Narendra is a very important name in CII Andhra Pradesh, a very successful IT business person. We have about 35 to 40 registrations. As the delegates join in, we will start the session. But it is my pleasure and opportunity to say a few words about Mr. Narendra Kumar, who is going to inaugurate today's webinar. Friends, Mr. Narendra Kumar is an engineer and MBA by qualification, a very successful entrepreneur. He comes from a traditional business family in Guntur, that is the family of crane beetle nuts. In 1998, Mr. Narendra Kumar founded Uptake Solutions, a subsidiary of the Crane Beetle Nut Powder Company, with a vision to create a social impact. Apex today is a leading ITES, BPO, and KPO company. It delivers content and digital solutions from Guntur, Vijayawada, and Hyderabad to global clients. Mr. Narendra's achievements include rural and women's empowerment, community welfare, and sustainable initiatives in and around Andhra Pradesh. Most welcome to you, Mr. Narendra Kumar. We are very happy to have your presence here. May I request Mr. Narendra Kumar for his inaugural address, please. Over to you, Mr. Narendra.
Thank you, Mr. Giri. Thanks for all your introduction.
Yes.
And before we move on, so I welcome Mr. Sendil Kumar and the rest of the participants. And good evening to everyone, whoever is here. Okay, so today we are going to hear a lot from Mr. Sendil about the current happening topic all over the world. Everybody is interested to listen to him, and so that's a very important one. And I'm glad to be part of this webinar organized by the niche entity, the Global Trade Driver, a firm that is rising steadily in importance and prominence in the Indo-US business spectrum. So through their various services, I compliment Mr. Venkatagiri and his team in the Global Trade Driver for putting together this very useful program on US visa application. My warm welcome to Mr. Sendil Kumar, immigration attorney, who is going to deliver the keynote address today. Everyone is eagerly waiting for you, sir, on this. So I am honored to address you today on a topic of paramount importance to the Indian industry, the significance of US market, which will mean a visit to the US or US visas, and hence the critical need for US visa application, appointment processes too. We all know waiting for an appointment for 6 months or even more is abnormal. Friends, businesses are subjected to many abnormalities and harsh realities, and US visa appointment need not be in that list. So whatever I mention here, it is purely my personal opinion. In fact, the United States represents the single largest market for Indian IT services, a cornerstone of our industries, phenomenal growth, and a key driver of our nation's economic progress. The symbiotic relationship between the US and Indian IT sector is undeniable. American businesses rely on the expertise and cost effectiveness of Indian IT companies to drive innovation, optimize operations, and maintain a competitive edge in the global market. Conversely, Conversely, the US market provides Indian IT companies with access to cutting edge technologies, valuable partnerships, and significant revenue streams, fueling their expansion and creating countless jobs back home. This mutually beneficial relationship hinges significantly on the smooth and efficient flow of skilled professionals between our two countries. Indian IT professionals armed with their technical prowess and domain expertise are the backbone of this collaboration. They are the architects of complex software solutions, the implementers of critical IT infrastructure, and the driving force behind digital transformation initiatives for American businesses. Their physical presence in the US is often essential for project success, client relationship management, and knowledge transfer. This is where the US visa regime, particularly H-1B and L-1 visas, plays a crucial role. These visas enable Indian IT professionals to work in the US temporarily, contributing to their skills to American businesses and facilitating the seamless execution of projects. They allow for the on site collaboration, knowledge sharing, and technical expertise that are often indispensable for successful project delivery. Without access to these visas, the ability of Indian IT companies to service their US clients effectively would be severely hampered, jeopardizing the entire ecosystem that has been so carefully built over the years. However, the current visa process, particularly the non availability of timely appointments, poses a significant challenge. Long wait times for visa appointments are creating bottlenecks, delaying project timelines, increasing costs for businesses, and most importantly, hindering the growth potential of the Indian IT industry. These delays have a ripple effect, impacting not only Indian companies but also their US clients who depend on their services. In today's fast paced and competitive global landscape, time is of the essence. Delays in visa processing can translate to lost opportunities, delayed product launches, and compromised project deliverables. The need for quick and efficient visa appointments is particularly critical for businesses engaged in time sensitive projects such as those in the financial services, healthcare, and technology sectors. In these industries, delays can have significant financial repercussions and can even impact patient care or critical infrastructure. For example, a delay in deploying a critical software update for a hospital system could have a serious consequences. Similarly, a delay in implementing a new trading platform for a financial institution could result in significant financial losses and etc. The Indian IT industry understands and appreciates the US government's focus on national security and immigration regulations. However, we believe that a balance can be struck between ensuring security and facilitating the smooth flow of skilled professionals, streamlining the visa appointment process, increasing the number of available appointments, and leveraging technology to expedite the application process are some measures that could be considered. Exploring options like virtual interviews or expanding the capacity of visa processing centers could significantly reduce the wait time and elevate the current bottlenecks. Furthermore, greater transparency, and predictability in the visa process are essential. Clearer guidelines, readily available information, and consistent processing times would enable businesses to plan their projects more effectively and avoid costly delays. This would also foster greater trust and confidence in the system. In conclusion, the US visa regime is a critical component of the thriving partnership between the US and Indian IT industries, ensuring the smooth and efficient processing of visa applications, particularly the availability of quick appointments, is essential for maintaining the competitiveness and growth trajectory of the Indian IT industry. Addressing the current challenges in the visa process will not only benefit Indian IT companies, but also their US clients and the broader economies of both nations. It is imperative that we work together to find solutions that facilitate the seamless flow of talent, promote innovation, and strengthen the vital link between our two countries. So I won't take much time beyond this. Okay. Thank you very much giving me this opportunity to global trade driver. Thank you very much. Over to Mr. Giri.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Narendra Kumar. That was a very, very comprehensive presentation from your side. We really appreciate the remarks that you made that businesses are already subject to a lot of harsh realities and abnormalities, and waiting for an appointment need not be one. That is really very well said. With those words, I take pleasure in introducing our good friend, Mr. Senthil Kumar. Mr. Senthil Kumar received his Bachelor of Arts as a part of a 5-year integrated course, resulting in a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Madras in 1997. Senthil comes from a family of lawyers. Attorney Senthil Kumar's experience in consular processing is broad, encompassing areas from business, tourist visas to family and employment based immigrant visas. He advises visa applicants on coordinating their initial documentation for the above categories, thus saving valuable time and expense. Attorney Kumar is experienced in guiding visa applicants through the application and interview processes at various consular posts in India. Helping applicants to navigate the maze of immigration procedures brings him great satisfaction, whether helping them to reunite their families, follow business opportunities, or otherwise pursue their life goals. Thank you so much, Sendil, for being with us today. Over to you, Attorney Sendil Kumar.
Thank you, Venkat. Our friendship goes back for 25 years now. With the global trade driver taking so much of initiatives to facilitate business between India and trade between India and the US, it's very commendable. And thank you for the opportunity. And Mr. Narendra Kumar, thank you for the nice, setting the tone for this meeting because, like you rightly said, the interview appointment wait time is a major challenge. I'll talk about all of those during this, next few minutes, and then I will throw the floor for questions because I think most people will want to have questions. I don't want to talk about stuff which may not be very relevant to the entire crowd. So I'll just give an oversight of what is happening, and I'll talk about the latest that's happening here. And talking about Crane, I didn't realize, you're part of Crane. I always have this with me.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I thought I should show that to you. And good. And the thing is, with respect to immigration law, there's a lot that's been happening, especially from January 20th. Almost every single day, when we wake up, we can wake up with some new news. And within one day, there were so many executive orders that were passed. Last time, what happened was they took some time to figure out how to do things, but now he already has 4 years of experience in that. So right from day one, they've already loaded all the guns and they've started, shooting in all directions. So while the focus of the US system seems to be to eliminate, illegal immigrants, but it doesn't seem to be that way. Unfortunately, they seem to be focusing on people with trivial offenses, which is not really of much of impact to the US, and rather than focusing on people who are really doing more, it's more to show the numbers, it appears. So, but before I get to the latest in immigration, I just give you an oversight of what is happening with respect to the different types of visas, and then I'll talk about the difficult wait times and what one can do to get some earlier appointments through the proper channels. And I'll also talk about the other channels that people seem to be using, because I always hear that from our clients. So I don't endorse it. I will also talk about it because this is for the benefit of all, and if it's benefiting you, then probably you can try that. Venkat, can we run the slide?
Yeah. Senthil, we have made you as a co-host. Would you like to run it on your own?
I'm not very familiar with that though.
No problem. No
Uh-huh.
problem. We can do that for you. Not a problem. Just
Okay.
give us a minute.
Okay. I do have it here. Let me see.
Yeah, just give us a minute.
Okay, how do I do that? Let me see if I can present it. Yeah, I think I can share post tools.
Senthil, are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So this is your slide number 1. We can
So,
scroll down. So
yeah, we can scroll down to the third.
yeah. So you can start your presentation now. We can help you with the slide. You may please start.
Sure, and we can go with the third. So basically, I thought I'll just give an overview of the most common type of visas that people apply for. Okay, one is the B1 and B2, and as Mr. Narendra was talking about, B1 is where a lot of people want to travel to the US to be able to install machineries or software or conduct meetings or sign contracts and stuff like that. So that's the most common. I think that's the most relevant for today's crowd. I will talk about the activities that are permissible by B1, B2, and then I'll briefly talk about the student visa options and H and L options. L option may be again something which may be of you interest to all of you. And since most of us have some family or relatives in the immediate family in the United States, I'll briefly touch upon the family-based immigration process. I won't get into too much of detailing. If anyone has something specific to ask, please do feel free to ask me, and I'll be happy to explain further on that. So now when it comes to business visa, right, B1, somebody who's going to the US, to meet with a client or a prospective client, and even to attend an interview. We've had some top brands where they had to open up some facilities in India, manufacturing facilities in India, and for that they were interviewing top brass for their operations and stuff like that. So we were able to get visas for them to go for an interview also. So though it's going to there are a lot of options that are available on B1, what you can do in the United States, and you can negotiate a contract, you can incorporate a company. You cannot be part of a company which, and actively participate in the business on a B1 visa. For that, you need to go on a work visa, like an L1 visa or something like that. But then if you want to just go there, incorporate a company and, passively participate in the business, then yes, that is possible. And if you're going for conferences, that is again a possibility. Or if you want to participate in an exhibition, that is a possibility. We have had people who want to take, gold jewelry or other, material to exhibit in the United States for, trade shows and stuff like that. So that again, a B1 is a possibility. And if somebody is going for a short-term training, again, that can, be permissible on B1. And if it's going to be a little longer, then that is something called as a H3 visa for training. So that can be again a possibility. And if somebody wants to settle an estate or bank accounts, or if they've lived in the US and they lost their job, came back to India, want to go back and settle stuff, B1 again is an option. And so if somebody is in the US and they lost a job on H1B and then they have to be in the US for some time to wind up, again, they can switch to a H1B. They can do a change of status within the US to a B1 visa for them to stay back in the US. So these are some of the activities someone can do on a B1 visa. I'll talk about the appointments as we go along. And B2 visa again is, if you have a family or, friend or relative in the US, you want to go or just want to go there for a holiday, you can apply for a B2 visa. And if you want to go for medical treatments, again, that is a possibility on a B2 visa. So if you have some, ailment which has treatment in the US, we have helped people go to the US for the clinical trials, because those medicines will not be available in the market. But if you are signing a contract, they allow, they try those medicines on you. So for that organ donation, there's a sibling who has an organ, which can be donated, and they have a match. They have gone. We have gotten visas for them to go and donate an organ. So a lot of possibilities are there, for medical treatment. The only thing is we have to show that such treatment is not available in India, and the treatment is available in the US. We have to have medical records from the doctors confirming that the treatment is available in the US and similar treatment is not available in India, or better treatment is available in the US, even if it is available in India. And they should have the duration of the treatment, and they should have, the cost estimates and stuff like that. So in those cases, we can go to the US on a B2 visa for undertaking medical treatment in the United States. So that is again a possibility. And when somebody applies for a tourist visa or a business visa, the presumption of law is that you'll go and settle down in the United States. Okay, so within a span of 2 minutes or 1 minute that is there at the interview counter, the officer will decide whether or not to approve your application. So how do you do that? Because a lot of people ask us, say, Senthil, we've carried all the documents with us, but they did not even see anything. So how do I communicate with the visa officer? That's a very common question that we get from our clients who have had issues with the application for visa. So the bottom line is, yes, the officer interviews at least about 90 to 100 applicants every day, no matter of 3 hours or so. So hardly 2 minutes they have for each applicant. If they have to look at all the paperwork, then they will not be able to get through even 10 or 20 applicants per day. So then why do I even carry all those documents if it's not required, right? It's like when you're taking a medical insurance, it is, if in case there is anything coming up, you covered for that. So that is the reason why you take up an insurance. So it's like that. You have to carry all the paperwork. Then if I'm going to carry the paperwork, if they're not going to even look at it, then how do I communicate? Because only they ask a few questions and then they decide. So there, on the visa application form DS-160, there are certain columns where you can add more information. For example, when you're talking about your job duties in India, you can mention about, hey, in addition to my job duties, I'm providing additional information and say that, hey, I own estate worth so much in India. I own liquid investments worth so much in India. I have my brother here in India. So all those information you can subtly add on the visa application form DS-160, which the officer will read for sure, because that is submitted under penalty of perjury of law, and the officer is bound to read through that before they make a decision. So you set the tone for the interview by providing additional information on the form DS-160. It should not be too elaborate where it becomes too much for them to read because they don't have the time. And at the same time, you have to give the relevant information, and knowing what to give, that is very important. Knowing what information to give is very important. So that's very, that's where the whole, I always say, when you apply for a visa, any visa for that matter, it's like a bank locker. Okay, you have two keys. One is the visa application form DS-160. So you have to make sure that you have the right key. You have to put all the right relevant information on the form DS-160. And the second key is how well you present yourself in that 1 or 2 minutes that's there at the interview. So if they ask you, for example, let's assume that you're sending one of your employees to the US, and want to send one of your employees to the US. So if they're going for the interview and the officer asks, okay, why do you want to go to the US? And they say, business meeting. Okay, so you know that you're applying for a business visa and you'll be going to the US, it will be a business meeting. So if they ask, oh, okay, so what are you going to do in this business meeting? So I will be meeting with, people in the US for these business meetings, So obviously they not want to, give. So if you're saying that, oh, well, I'm representing, XY is a crane, it's a very big manufacturer of betel nuts, and, we are exporting to the United States, and we are also considering bringing some, nuts from the United States. So I'm going there. I'm going to meet with this XYZ person, and they have a potential to supply so much for us, and we want to explore that possibility of importing, and we also want to send some products from here. So we are going to spend 2-3 days sitting together, putting our heads together, and seeing what it is. And I'm going to go to this XYZ location. I'm going to stay at this hotel, and this is what exactly I'm going to do. So when you say that, they know that you know what you're doing, why you're going to the US. So you have to be very clear. So if somebody is going for installation of a software, they should know, okay, we have got a contract, and as a part of the contract, we have to install. Only if you have installations, for example, only if it's part of the deliverables of the contract originally agreed upon, you can do that, because otherwise it may be considered as product to employment. So it's a very thin line for somebody going and erecting the machinery, or providing some support for machinery or for products. That's a very thin line between product to employment and non-product to employment. On a business visa, if you're going to say that I'm going to the US for 3 months or 4 months, but I'm not going to get paid, nobody's going to believe it, because most of the people are going for high salaries, and if they're going to be there in 3 months, and if they're not doing any productive work, how would you pay them a salary, right? So business visas are not to go there and work. It's basically to go there for some meetings or facilitations or understanding the requirement. So it should be confined to that, and it should be limited to 2 or 3 weeks at the max. Though they give you 6 months at the port of entry, if you stay for longer and then come back, the next time when you go to the port of entry, you would have problems. So we have to limit it to a few weeks, and always stick to that. That's very important. You are not supposed to get any payment or wages in the US other than the travel expenses, which is taken care of by an Indian entity. It's always better. So that is with respect to the visas. And so with respect to the student visas, right? So there are 3 types of visa categories: F1, M1, and J1. F1 is the most common thing, because most people who are going to go for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD program or a doctorate program, they apply for a visa under the F1 category. And sometimes even for high school, they go to the United States if you can afford. So that's what happens with respect to F1. That's for academic students, and M1 is for vocational students. It's not only used for pilot training. We just gave that as an example. The people who are going for any vocational training and certification programs, it's a short term, 6 months, 4 months, and stuff like that, they go on an M1 visa. And J1 exchange visa, they have physicians, they have exchange visa. People in the hospitality industry, they have exchange visa program. So there is a form called as DS-2019, which the agency will give, that sponsoring organization will give, and based on that, they can apply for a visa and go there. Usually it's for 1 year, and the contracts are extended for other additional terms. But the thing is, on a J1, mostly they're subject to 212E clause, which means that most of people who go into the US on a J1 will have to go back to their home country and spend at least 2 years before they can go back to the US and work. If they're going back on a student visa or for a short business trip, that is permissible. But if they want to go back and work, or if they found somebody when they were on J1 and they want to get married, go back to the US, they have to wait for 2 years. So before they can initiate the process. So all of those with respect to the J1 visas. And then we come to the next slide. So dependents, right, of F1, they go on an F2 visa. Dependents of M1 go on an M2 visa, and then J1 go on a J2 visa. So they are all, your spouse and children under age of 21 can, go on a dependent visa F2 or M2 or J2. But then the thing is, they cannot work in the US on a dependent visa, but they can study. So study is permissible activity, whereas work is not permitted on a dependent visa, basically. And coming to the H1B, that's again the most sought after category of visa, because every year it's always oversubscribed. So a few years ago, they installed a lottery system wherein you have to register. And recently, last year it was $10 for a registration. Now they made it $205 for the registration. And in the recent, I'll talk about some of the changes that have been happening recently as we go along. But once they select in the lottery, then they'll have about 90 days to file the petition. And so that is how it works. And to work on H1B, you should have 12 plus 4 years of education. You have at least a bachelor's degree. So for the position that is being offered, that should be the minimum requirement for that position should be a bachelor's degree. And also, a lot of people do not understand that they, before even a petition is filed, there should be a job available for them. They should know what job they're going to work on, what product they're working on, or what client they're going to be working on. So all of that information should be clear before even a petition is filed. And the fiscal year starts in 1st of October every year. They open up 65,000 visas for overall regular category. And for people who have done master's degree in the United States, so they are from an accredited university, they have additional 20,000 visas. So 85,000 visas is what is thrown open every year. And out of that, 20 is only for people who have done masters, and about 5,800 is reserved for Singapore and Chile. Okay, so that is what it is. So, and once the petition start date will be 1st of October, you can file a petition for working 6 months in advance. So April 1 is when they start filing for H1Bs. So H1Bs, again, like when I told you about the B1 visa or a student visa, I said it's you have to show that you're going to come back to the home country. Whereas on a H1B visa, you don't have to. It's a dual ended. Even if they want to settle down in the US, they don't care, because they're going to approve, as long as you meet all the requirements. And initially, it's granted for a period of 3 years, and it can be extended for another 3 years. Totally 6 years is what one can spend in the US. Beyond 6 years, only under 2 circumstances you can extend. One, the perm, that is to initiate a green card, the first step is to file, for a labor certification. And if that has been pending for a year and more, then 1 year H1B extensions can be done beyond the 6 years. And if I-140 is filed and approved, then 3 year extensions can be done beyond the 3 years, initial 3 year period. So that is the, with respect to the duration one can spend in the US. So usually H1Bs are subject to the annual cap of, as I told you, and whereas, beyond those, again, in certain circumstances, you can extend the duration for beyond the 6 year limitation. And and there should be a US employer who is able to sponsor that. And and there are anybody from outside of the US who wants to come and work in the United States, they need a visa. There are some countries which are part of treaties, and they come under the treaty status, and they won't have to apply for the H1B system. So we can go to the next slide. Dependents of H1 go on H4 visa. A spouse is eligible for H4 visa. Children below 21 again are eligible for the H4 visa. They can study in the United States. Okay, and if the person is beyond the 60, I told you, right? Someone can go to the US for up to 6 years. And if they are in the 7th year extension based on a perm, or if the I-140 has been approved, then the spouse can apply for a H4 EAD and can work. So after the EAD is approved. So that is, the advantage of that. But till then, they can't, unfortunately, work in the US. So that is a handicap. If you're a spouse of a H1B holder, you cannot work in the, in the US. So unless one of these criteria is met. So we can go to the next slide. And because I'm trying to just skip through all these things because it may not be too relevant to the entire crowd. So if anyone has wants more specific information on a particular subject, I'll try to address that after we are done the question and answer session. So that's why I'm going through, so that I'll be happy to answer more questions for all of you. So there's something called as an intra-company transfer. If you have an office here in India, and then if you have an office in the United States, it should be a branch, subsidiary, or an affiliate, then one is eligible for an L1. And in L1, we have two types of L1s, L1A and L1B. If you are an owner of a company and you want to incorporate a company and go to the US, you'll go on an L1. Or if you're a manager, executive, top executive, you go on an L1. There's also something called as functional managers. So if you manage a function in the organization, then again, you're eligible for an L1. And L1B is for people who have specialized knowledge. See, for example, if I am specialized in, say, Java or whatever, right? So, or Python. Just because I'm a person who has knowledge on Python, I would not be eligible. And I've been working for a company in India. So, one is, before I get into that, the company in India should have, and the person who's going to apply for an L1 who you want to transfer to the US should have at least worked for 1 year in the qualifying capacity. Okay, because for example, if it's an L1A, you should have worked in the qualifying capacity. You might have worked for 5 years, but if you did not work in the qualifying capacity for at least 1 year before you file the petition, then the petition will not be approved. And similarly, L1B person should have been in that qualifying capacity at least for a year, and that knowledge of their L1B should have been gained through the employment. So as I told you, if it's going to be a Java or a Python, if they're going to get the knowledge from outside sources, then they are not eligible for the L1B. But if a product has been developed by the company and the person has gained knowledge about the product because the person worked in the company. For if they go work XYZ company, they would not have that knowledge. Only under those circumstances, the L1B will work. So L1A is up to 5 years and L1B is 5 years to 7 years, up to 7 years you can be on L1A, and L1B is for 5 years. So basically this is what it is with respect to the L1s. And the advantage of L1 is a dependent L2. No, when they enter the US, they will be given an I-94. Again, I talk about visas and I-94s just before I explain this. A visa is nothing but a piece of stamp which is there on your passport. And having a visa does not mean that you'll enter the US. Okay, it only allows you to board the flight and go on to the borders and knock on the door and say, "May I come in?" Okay, that's all it gives. So the visa only takes you to the entrance, okay? And then at the port of entry, they decide whether or not to let you into the country. And once they decide, then they give you a status. The visa is different, the status is different. So that is when they let you inside and decide how long you can stay in the United States. So for dependents of L1s, they give an L2S for spouse. So the L2S by itself works as an employment authorization, and they can start working in the US. So that's a big advantage of L. And even for green card, it's much faster when you're going on an L1A, especially. So that is, again, spouse and children below 21 are eligible for the L1, L2 visa, basically. So then we're talking about, the family-based immigration. There are, most of the people have immediate relatives, and a lot of people now with the birthright citizenship, I've talked about that because a lot of people were in the US on H1 visa or L1 visa, or people go on a B1, B2 visa or student visa and have the child there. And the moment the child is born in the US, they become US citizens. And when they become 21 years later, they can file for the parents. And parents are immediate relatives, so they can immediately travel to the US within so from the time of filing the petition to the final green card, getting the green card is about 2 to 2.5 years. So they can easily get that. So now Trump, the president, has really tried to lay hands on that because it's a constitutional right and it's been backed up by the Congress earlier. So I'll talk about that in a little more detail. So that's family-based immigration. When you're coming to immigrant visas, family-based, there are different categories of visas. So if you're filing for parent, if you are a US citizen and you're filing for your parents or your spouse or children under 21, then they're immediate relatives. So there is no wait time. If you are, US citizen, and then if you're filing for, or you're a permanent resident, and then you're filing for, or you're a US citizen filing for children above 21, unmarried, then there is F2B category. And then there's an F2A for, if you're a green card holder filing for a spouse, then it's an F2A category. So there are different types of visa categories that you have. And for each of those categories, they have certain number of visas that are allocated. So what happens is once they reach that number, even if 200 people apply for, let's assume that 200 people apply for a visa, and only 25 will be given in that particular year. So the 175 will be carried over to the next year. So that's what they call as retrogression. So it's a very complicated topic. I would not be able to explain that in more detail because too little time in this. But then that's why there's a wait time, there's a priority date, wait time, and all this stuff. That's why it takes many years for people to get a green card, because for each category they have only X number of visas that can be given each year. And but then so many people apply for it. So whatever is being filed in excess is taken as a reserve, and then the next year it's released on a first in first out basis. So that is why you have those wait times and stuff like that. So I also talk about and also you can file for the brother or sister, but it takes about 15 to 17 years, and then, if they have children who are less than 21, they can also get the green card at that point of time. So that's all family-based immigration. Employment based, I'm not touching upon it because again, a lot of wait times, and EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, EB5 we have, and EB5 is about $800,000. You have to invest in a targeted area for you to get a green card, and then if you are going in for the regular one, it's about 1.2, right? 1.05 million. You will have to invest. So we don't deal with that from the India office. The firm in the US does it, but then that's again another thing which people usually ask for. So when talking about the recent changes in immigration, I will also talk about that before we get into the questions, and also talk about the visa appointment system before we open the floor for the questions. One is in India, when you're applying for a visa, see, a year ago, they moved to something called as, the US visa scheduling.com. Earlier, there was something called US visa traveldocs.com, which was a robust system. They had set it up very well. It was working very nicely. So they said, oh, this works too well. And they took out the system and they brought a new one, which is full of bugs. Once you get stuck with you just cannot move on to the next place. So, and the support system is really not a support system. You write to them and they only support themselves, I guess. So they just close the file the next day saying that the problem is resolved. But I think the problem is resolved for them by closing the system, the query that you have raised. Actually, there's no practical help at all from them. So it's been a very bug system, and unfortunately other countries have also gotten on to that now. So as long as everything goes smoothly, it is okay. But then when there is a bug, it's really bad. And unfortunately, we are at the receiving end. When you write to them, also nothing happens. We have had some cases which we have raised to the ambassadors or level, and then sometimes people have gotten into and looked at what is happening. So it's really a very painful process. If we get into any small technical glitch, it's not a small technical glitch at all, because there's no support at all from them. Off late, we see it's slightly getting better, but till a few months ago, it was horrible. But off late, we're seeing that slowly the system is falling into place, and I hope that in the coming months that system gets better. So earlier, when somebody schedules an appointment, we can reschedule an appointment up to 4 times. But from January 1, what they said was you can reschedule the appointment only once. So if you schedule an appointment, you get a date. And then, if you find another date, if you reschedule it, that's it. Again, you have to reschedule the third time. If you see an earlier date and you want to reschedule, then you will have to pay the visa application fees again. So that is, that's a new system. So because of this, I believe that a lot of dates will open up for business applicants and tourist visa applicants in the coming future, because usually people used to keep on jumping from earlier dates. So as soon as dates are available, everybody will move from next year to this year. But now, if they've already used that option twice, then they will not be able to. So when new slots open up, whoever have paid the fees now will be able to go. Unfortunately, that people have been waiting for a long time cannot be able to change it. But at least, going forward, more dates may be available, as we go along. And secondly, recently they announced a consulate that's going to be opened in Bangalore. So they're going to be operating out of hotel. You remember the hotel? Can just check for me. I'll get you the name of the hotel. So they're going to operate out of that. It has been operational there. The citizenship services and certain emergency services were offered. There were news reports that they're going to take care of consular visa processing as well. But when the official announcement came, there is no reference to visa processing in the near future. So that is one. And then hopefully once it is up, and they've not revealed the location, I think for security reasons, obviously. But once that comes up, then I think a lot of it will ease out on the whole get processed. So there is a JW Marriott Hotel, in Vittal Malaya Road. So that is where they're, having the temporary operations now. And so they process for citizenship services and certain other passport services. But for even for visa issuance, it may happen, but not in the immediate future. And once the consulate is properly operational, that will be a good boon because we'll have Hyderabad right now. It's the largest number of windows. They have more than 50 windows and they process it. And also they have centralized all the visa processing now. All the B1, B2 applications are processed out of Delhi. All the Dropbox appointments are processed through Chennai for H&L visas. And all the in-person appointments are processed in Hyderabad. So that is how it is being done now. And only for students, they open up all the consulate because that's a lot of revenue bringing into the United States. So whenever there is a student season that comes up, summer or fall intake, interview dates are available. They open up on Saturdays and they encourage them because they bring in obviously a lot of revenues. They're millions of dollars come into the United States, and they they rely on the foreign students for that. So that is with respect to the changes that locally we have been seeing. And I'll also talk about, before I talk about the appointment systems, I'll talk about the other changes that have been recently introduced in the US as well. I was talking about the H1B lottery. So earlier, what happened was a lot of companies, they used to have 4 or 5 months for companies, and then they used to file H1B for through each of those. For example, if they want to file for Senthil, there'll be 5 companies which file for Senthil, which will all be interlinked. So it's no longer possible. If they do that, they go after them saying that you misrepresented and filed and deprived somebody else of an opportunity. And also now it's become more applicant centric. So if it is Senthil, it's only one registration. Even if 10 companies are playing, if we picked up in the lottery, then that will be allocated to one of those companies who so that is how it is being made. And from $10, they have made the registration fees to $215. So that is one thing. And usually the registration for the current year, it opens up on 7th of March and it will go on till 24th of March. And then the filing will start from 1st of April and usually it goes on till 30th of June. And after the first lottery is over, once you select, let's assume all the 65,000 is selected and the 20,000 additional is selected. Sometimes the employers may not even file a petition for whatever reason. Okay, so if that is the case, then they have a second lottery. So the second lottery will not be taking new applications. Whatever is left over in the pool for let's assume that 1 lakh applications have come in. 85,000 were already taken. 15,000 is left. So they put that 15,000 back into the pool. They don't add additional applications, and then they again run the lottery, and whoever gets into the lottery gets the visa. So that is one. And then we also for, again, this was not be relevant to our crowd here today, but then by filing the H1B, and they used to ask for client letters earlier. So a few years ago they had stopped it, but now again they said that you have to show that you have to, the client should confirm that the position is available. I mean, your contract is there and you're going to work for that particular client. So those kind of things have come back. So there are a few more changes which have come in with respect to the H1B, which may not be relevant to us. So I'm not going to delve into details of that. One important thing is birthright citizenship, right? So anybody who has a baby in the United States, even if they were an illegal immigrant, they jumped the wall and came into the US, still, if the child is born in the US, the child becomes a US citizen. But now, recently, the current administration passed executive order, which said that that's no longer going to be the case unless one of the parent is a citizen and or a permanent resident. Then you will not be able to do. And if one of the parent is an illegal immigrant, then the other parent has to be a legal immigrant and has to be a permanent resident or a citizen, and only then they'll be eligible for the citizenship. And the court has given an injunction on that. And the latest news is that they've given a permanent injunction until the final decision is made on this. So earlier it was supposed to come any baby born on or after 20th of February in the United States, where they are not getting the citizenship by birth, based on this criteria. But so a lot of people were trying to get a premature baby and stuff like that. There was huge rush to the hospitals, and it was a whole chaos that was happening. But now the court has stalled this. So there's the injunction, there is a temporary relief till a final decision is made. This rule will not take effect. So that is what it is right now. So that is with respect to the current changes that are going on both here and in the US. With respect to the appointment system, as of today, if you want to apply for a business visa or a tourist visa, the dates are available in April of 2026. So it's almost 14 to 15 months wait time. So I know that a lot of people have asked about, Senthil, how do we expedite this? Okay, so one thing is like what Mr. Narendra Kumar was talking about is somebody is going in the hospital systems where they have to install software, or in the financial sector where they have to install some urgent, attend to certain things. So those kind of people can actually, there is an option to raise. You have to first schedule the first available appointment, and once you do that, you can raise a request for an emergency appointment. So you have to substantiate with the proper text, and you have to give proper contracts, or the regulations, or the letter from the client to the US, to show how critical it is for this person to be there on short notice, and that they could not have predicted that this was requirement earlier. We've been able to get that for medical treatment. We've been able to get that for a bereaved family member who want to go there, or and we've been able to get that for business travelers also, depending upon the urgency. So that is something which you have to articulate it very clearly. Don't write too much when you're doing that, because they don't have time to read through that. Be very crisp and clear, and tell why exactly this couldn't have been predicted, and why it's important and critical for them, and what is in it from the US. If the US is going to be benefited, highlight on that also, because they'll all like to see what is in it for me before I give this for you. Okay, so that is something which you can try. And even if the request is refused once, you can raise it second time also without paying an additional fee. That is one option of doing it. So if you are able to do that, then within 2-3 weeks itself, you get a date and you go on. And for emergency, even on Sundays, they open up the consulated visas. That is one. And the second one is, usually late nights and early mornings, people keep trying to look at appointments, and then if somebody cancels with one person, then it's easier to get. If you're a group of 4 or 5 people, then it's less likely that you'll get an earlier appointment. So that is something which you can have in mind. And apart from all these things, we do get always enough from clients that they have some agents. I don't know how they do it. They keep them on the phone, they get them earlier dates. So biometrics in one place and the interview in another place, but I really don't have a clue. They charge anything from 15,000 to 50,000, or some people have even paid 1 lakh just for an appointment. I even now it's still happening, and I really do not have a clue as to how this is done. So since so much of data, critical data, is shared to these people, and we do not know what they're going to use it for, my recommendation would not be to go for those. But there are a lot of forums, and there are a lot of Telegram groups where you can register, and then they keep posting about earlier appointments. That is something which you can look at. And also, if it's very critical for you to travel, as a third country national, you can go to Thailand or Indonesia. You can also go to Malaysia or Singapore. But the officers in Thailand and Indonesia seem to be more lenient. So I would recommend that and they're more listening in for to the applicant on the purpose of visits and stuff like that. So as a third country national, we can apply from there. The challenge is you need to have a US credit card, or you have to have somebody locally in that particular country for them to be able to pay the fees and then apply for the visa. So that is something which you can consider, because wait time is about 45 to 50 days or 60 days for these countries. And so you can plan within 2 months time frame. You can plan, and 4-5 days, if they can stay there, they can get the visa and come. So that is something which you can consider for urgent appointments. And again, as another thing is how to enhance when you're going for the visa interview, especially I'm talking about business visas. Train your employees to know why they are going, where exactly they're going, where they will stay, how far is the office from the place where they're going to stay. So they have to know what's permissible, what is not. And because the officers really want to give you a visa, but then we have to present the relevant data for them to make a decision. So, and also a lot of times, we hear that if I have a brother or sister, if I tell them they're not going to do the visa for be it a student or for a tourism purpose, that's not the case. We have to be honest, because if you're not going to give the relevant, because they know it's like having the pocket pen in the pocket and saying that I don't have a pen, because it's very obvious, because they know already that you have a pen in the pocket. They can see that you have somebody there. But when you lie to them, then they do not know whether you're being honest with anything else that you say. So it's better to be honest with them and face the consequences. So because you can always go back to them. When you misrepresent, then all the doors to the US are closed. So it's not worth doing that. It's better to be honest, and then we can always fight it out and get your way into the US rather than providing wrong information. So with this, I would hand over to Venkat, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to address. And I think a lot of questions we received, everything was related to earlier appointments, and I've addressed what are the possibilities and stuff like that, and also with respect to the DS 160, how to make it stronger is what I had told. So I'll give it to Venkat to take on any question.
Thank you, Sindhul, for that presentation. We have had a lot of questions on this. How do we expedite our appointment? So I know that you touched upon that. So let's request questions from the participants. Participants, if any of you have questions, you are most welcome to ask your question. Else, I would request Senthil to dwell again and a little deeper on how do we expedite our appointment.
I have a question, sir. Can I ask?
Sir, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Narayanan. We are running an engineering industry. We manufacture equipment, furnaces,
Yes.
which we
Yes.
export to all over the world.
Yes.
We have recently, from this year, started getting orders for our furnaces for US customers also.
Okay, sir.
And we have already exported one furnace. And now we have got orders for exporting 6 furnaces. It's quite a large project, but the very appointment for our engineer to go for erecting and commissioning there, the very appointment is coming after 1.5 years. So we are at loss as to how to send our engineer for a few weeks to help our clients do the erection and commissioning. That is one question. And all that you spoke about was about the IT industry, software. But now with the greater push by the president there for manufacturing industry, Indian manufacturing companies like us who manufacture equipment have a huge opportunity in the US. But this visa is a big impediment. Like we export to Europe, Middle East, everywhere we are able to work very easily for visas. So this is a practical situation where I have 7 equipment to be commissioned, large ones, but I'm not able to send my engineers. So what is your advice in this case, sir?
Yeah, good. Congratulations on that, Mr. Narayanan. So it's good that you got a good order. So I really hope that you'll be able to send your folks to the US soon to install it. And so the thing is, I did touch upon people going to the US for installation of machinery and stuff like that as part of what I was telling. The thing is, as long as it is there as part of the contract that you're going to be, you're required to send an engineer to supervise or advise their people, or to train their people on how to, install and run the machinery, then you can always there is an option to raise a request for emergency appointment. So first thing is you complete the visa application form, pay the visa application fee, schedule the first available appointment, even if it's 1 year later, and then you can raise a request in that emergency appointment and brief note that hey, we have, as a part of the contract, we are required to do this, and this is our client, this is how much amount of money they have paid, and as a part of the contract, we are required to go and spend at least 1 week there or 10 days there so that we can train those people to make sure that they erect it properly and then take it over from there. So, and also you can attach, you can back up the numbers, but you can attach the contract, and you can also include a letter from the purchaser and saying that, hey, this is what has been happening. We really have invested so much of money. The machinery has reached us, but we have not been able to benefit it, and we can't afford to wait for 1 year because all the investment will go into a base if you don't have this person come and install it. So it's also going to benefit a US citizen. So you can bring all those things and you can present it well, and if you present it well, in all probability, they may approve the request for an emergency appointment in this case. And as I told you, the other option is to go to countries like Indonesia or Thailand. But then before even you venture into that, I think you should try this because it should work in this kind of situation, especially.
So Mr. Senthil, your advice is to fix the appointment first and then try to move it forward.
Yeah, that is how way you can raise an emergency appointment. You have to complete the visa application form, schedule the first available appointment, and then you have to tell them that, hey, I have an emergency need to travel, and these are the reasons to travel. So make it very clear, crisp, so that the moment they read it, they should know the urgency of the need, and that's how we have.
I have one or two more quick questions. I will
Yes, sir.
do it fast. See,
Yeah.
I have I think a business visa. I have renewed it once for 10 years. And now will it be only a Dropbox for further renewal for the third time?
Yeah. So if you have, if as of now, up to 4 years within the most recent visa expiry, if you're going to renew the visa, then it is only through the Dropbox, and all the Dropbox appointments are centralized in Delhi. And at their discretion, if they want to, they may ask you to come in person, but otherwise, it is through the Dropbox.
So you are saying that 4 months before my visa expires, I should start
No, no,
applying. Is that what is?
no. After your visa expires, within 4 years, you can do the Dropbox as of today. Earlier, it was 1 year, but now, for example, if your visa expired within 3.5 years ago, you can still renew it now. So I would
Okay.
always recommend that you wait till almost the end of the visa before you reapply, because when it's 1 year to go, don't do it. Okay, if it's only for 1 month that is going to go and your travel date is going to come after that, then you renew the visa at that point, because you get a fresh 10 years after.
And how long it takes when I apply with the Dropbox?
2 to 3 weeks they take from the time you
Oh,
drop
that's all.
the application. Even if though the appointment is in Delhi, because they're centralized in Delhi, you can drop it off in any one of the drop visa application centers. Okay, even in Chennai you can drop it off. Even in Kolkata you can drop it off. From Hyderabad, or some of the in Bangalore they have a collection center. So you can drop it off any of those centers, and they will process it, and then you can opt for premium delivery, wherein it will come back to you, and at 850 rupees they will come and deliver to your house. So
Okay. And
if you want to come in person, then you have to travel to Delhi.
oh, if they call. Okay. And if our daughter is studying in the US, and like I have a visa, but my wife does not have a visa. As a parent, when she applied, she got an appointment almost a year later. And now I think her appointment is scheduled for May. So what do you think? I mean, we should wait, or is there any way of expediting it?
No, for such requirements, they generally don't oblige an early appointment.
Okay. Okay.
May is
So
not too fast in that, because right now it's April of next year.
she's got an appointment for May, so I think we should simply wait for it then,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. And one last thing, sir, is there any way I can reach out to you regarding this company, Engineers Travel? You can help us professionally
Sure.
on this.
As Mr. Narayanan, the global trade driver can help you there. We'll be happy to connect you to the commercial department of the American consulate. We have a very short presentation about the global trade driver, which we will run it after the questions. And we
Okay.
work with the commercial consulate. They will definitely give a good hearing if they are convinced that your visit is going to help American companies. And I had a discussion with Madam Lata Narayanan a month back, and I am very
Yeah.
well convinced that your business is helping both the Indian market as well as the American market. So I think we can make your case very strongly to the American consulate.
And also, just to add to Venkat's thing, if you're
Yeah.
going to import from the US, they'll be happy to help you. If you're exporting to the US, they may not be as helpful as we would want them to be. So we have our, you can just send an email to info@india.com, and we'll be happy to guide you with that expedited appointment. But you can try that also, because if you're going to buy something from the US, they're always helpful. If you're going to sell something to the US, generally they are not as helpful. But
Okay. But
Okay.
sir, the
There
equipment
is a
we
question
supply
from Mr.
is.
Kumar. Mr. Kumar Akarapu, your question,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi. Good evening,
Hello.
Mr. Venkat. And hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Kumar. I'm calling from Vizag. I've joined this. So I have a typical situation. I had US B1, B2 multiple entry for 10 years, which is supposed to get expired, or it got expired in the month of May 2021. But I have applied for a Dropbox renewal in 2020, and I got a 221G later on when they asked me to appear in person. When I appeared in person, they made it 214B. So currently, I'm having a company, an offshore business from US here in Vizag. And later on, for a business meeting, when I've applied again with the invitation letter, still they have refused it as a case of 214B.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I'm a veteran of Indian Air Force. I'll give a short background. And every year, right from 2012, every year during the summer, I visited till the summer ended because I was able to support my travel. So every year for 4 to 5 months, I have been there on a holiday, spending with my kids and my nephew and niece. So now I'm in a confused status why it is a 214B all the time. So I stopped applying for it, though I'm getting business opportunities from the US. When I gone through the clause, it states that I'll be a potential illegal immigrant. I need not be a potential illegal immigrant because I have my pension coming from Indian Air Force. Apart from that, I have my parents and I have everything to be here.
Yeah.
So with this hesitation, I stopped applying for the renewals because I don't want to get flagged as an illegal immigrant. So that's the reason I stopped. So I just wanted to understand what will be the better way to pursue this case again.
Okay. So whom do you have in the US right now?
Right now, I have my both the sons who are there after their masters. They're working over there, and I have my sibling, immediate sibling. He's a naturalized citizen over there. So
Okay. And
initially he has sponsored my travel in the year 2011, and later on every visit he only sponsored because I was coaching my nephew and niece.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. And did he file an immigrant petition for you?
No.
Okay. And how many children do you have in all?
I have two sons.
Two sons, both sons are living in the US, and your
Yes.
sibling also lives in the US. And
Yes.
on your prior visits, how long? What is the duration of each of your visits?
Each of my visit was anywhere between 4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months. Okay.
Yes.
So when you retired by then?
Pardon?
When you retired by then, when you
Yeah, I'm retired. I retired in 2004. I
okay,
started my
and
travels only in 2012 onward.
okay, and did you ever file an extension in the US?
Never.
Never. Okay. So, see, the thing is, 4 to 5 months stay is not bad because they give you up to 6 months and you're retired and you want to spend some time there. But there are a lot of other factors they look at because, see, when your sibling is also there, both the children are there, then they consider you as a prospective immigrant. Okay. Because I told you, right? Presumption of law is that you'll go and settle down in the US. So,
Yeah.
until the children, one of the sons become a US citizen, you really don't have any option for you to migrate to the US. You'll have to be depending on just the tourist visa until then. So
Yeah.
usually when people have traveled too frequently and for too long, that is when they get it becomes difficult. Otherwise, usually they give it off. So we'll have to understand a little more about why. Because if you own properties here, if you have investments here, if you have income here, if you have other siblings here, and if you hold
Yeah.
any honorary positions here, or if you have any working part of any social or charitable organization. So we can collectively put everything if you've been traveling to other countries for that matter. So you can present all of those factors and make a strong case and hopefully that will get. But with both children in the US and sibling also in the US and you've been spending 4 to 5 months, the officer may be thinking that, oh, okay, he's a prospective immigrant. It may be difficult, but it's not impossible to get the visa.
Okay. Thank you. Then I'll reach out.
Sure, Mr. Kumar.
Yeah. So let us pursue like how we have to take it because
Sure.
I never wanted to get flagged again for a 214B.
Sure. We can
Understand.
put the best foot forward.
All
Yeah.
the best to you, Mr. Kumar. Any other questions from the participants? Okay. Fine. Let me run a very short presentation about the global trade driver. We were Yeah. Senthil, is my screen visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this is the interesting inauguration of the global trade driver. We had Madam Susan Dunathan, the Vice Consul or the Visa Officer. This was way back in 2013. Essentially, the global trade driver is a firm that facilitates business between Indian and American companies through business delegations. We have organized close to 9 business delegations of Indian companies, and we have connected them. We have connected them to different industry sectors in the United States of America. We work with a network of 150 plus companies in India, and we consider that our strength is our network, both in India as well as in the United States of America. We work closely with the various industry associations, both in India as well as in the United States of America. These are the services that we provide: market research reports, hand-holding services, industry institution types, seminars on various topics, and most importantly, advocacy. That's what we are currently doing. We are talking to the American government authorities on the importance of facilitating quicker appointments for the Indian businesses. This is our delegation of Andhra Chamber of Commerce way back in September 2011 to Atlanta. Our earlier name was IndoUSBiz.com, and then later on we changed it to the Global Trade Driver. These are our various programs in the United States of America. Our meeting with the Indian Consul General in Atlanta, our our participation in the trade show in Space Tech Expo Long Beach. We had also organized a multi-product catalog show in Atlanta, which had a fairly good attendance. These are our programs on doing business with United States of America, with various industry bodies in India. We have been doing that in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, New Delhi, and other cities also. Friends, we essentially believe that the strength of any business lies in networking. We have a fairly good network in the United States of America, and I'm glad to share that it is only growing. I've shared some of the network that we enjoy, which includes Smith Gambrel Russell, an attorney firm, Maxi Innovations, a technology firm. We also work with the office of Dr. Jaideep Mukherjee, who is from NASA Florida Space Grant Consortium. We firmly believe that the strength of any business is networking, especially when it comes to international business. We facilitate connections for manufacturing companies, for aerospace companies in Atlanta and in Florida, for technology companies. We connect them with various contacts in Silicon Valley, California. We appeal to the participating companies to be a part of the global trade driver. We urge you to join the global trade driver as a member. We firmly believe that articulating the demands, articulating the needs of Indian businesses will have to be heard more louder, more clearer to the American authorities. And in that mission, we consider this particular program as very, very important. We have about close to 20 to 25 participants, and then we have been speaking to a lot of delegates and industry associations over the last 1 month. It is very difficult, as Mr. Narendra Kumar said in his address. Businesses are subjected to a lot of uncertainties. Definitely waiting for an appointment should not be one in that. So we are very keen to facilitate Indian companies in their business with United States of America, and definitely our role will bring about a positive difference. With those words, I close my presentation. I close Yeah, I close my presentation and I'll be very happy to take any questions. And Sendil, I would also request you to add a few points on. You have been traveling to the US. I know that you are a very seasoned US traveler. What is the effect of articulating or lobbying? What is the effect of articulating or lobbying when it comes to presenting the interest of American businesses, both in America and also in other markets? And how would you compare that with the way that Indian industry articulating its requirements?
Just to make sure I understood your question clearly, so what you're saying is if you want to bring in Indian businesses to the US, how best to pitch in is what you're asking for, is it?
Yes, I would also like to hear from you how American companies, we hear a lot about American Chamber of Commerce, we hear a lot about American Industry Association. How would they articulate their requirement, and how would you compare that with the way that Indian industry or Indian companies are asking what they need?
Okay. I would, to be honest with you, I may not be the right person to address this particular question because I've not had too many interactions or with such organizations. But I do know that the commercial section itself acts as a very big lobby for them, right? So as you are, you know them too well. So when even in a meeting, if they know that there is somebody who wants to invest in the United States, immediately they make sure that they make an announcement on the mic saying that, hey, this person is going to invest and we'd like to meet him and you please come and meet the chief after this. So they just take them aside and they do it. So they're so proactive in doing that. I think the Indian government is also to a certain extent doing that, right? So, but the thing is, with respect to forums which facilitate that, I'm not very familiar with what happens.
I understand. Thank you. Thanks for that. Mr. Sendil, we will be sharing your contact details with the participants. We urge the participants to get in touch with Mr. Sendil Kumar for your specific US visa requirements. We would urge you to consider becoming a part of the global trade driver because we understand that US visa is something very, very important in your business goals, business aspirations with the United States of America. But moving beyond visa, it is very essential to network, to stay connected. That's where the global trade driver can definitely help you a lot. With those words, if there are no further questions, Sendil, shall we call it a close?
Yeah, sure. Thanks to everyone for joining in today. And
thank you, participants. Thank you so much, Sendil. A special thanks to Mr. Narendra Kumar and all the other participants who have been able to be part of this program. We'll be making a report of this and sharing it not only to the participants but also to the American consulate. And we will continue with our mission of working for and speaking for the benefit of Indo-US business. Thank you so much, participants, and thank you very much, Mr. Sendil Kumar.
Most welcome, and thanks for the opportunity, Venkat, as always.
Thank you. Thank you, participants. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody, for taking time to join us today. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.